And in this segment, we have Dr. Ken Yorgan with us, and he brings up a very interesting topic, sociopathy in politics. I almost can't help but laughing when we discuss this, and I want to point out to people, if you've seen in the prior segments done on this, it's not laughing at it, it's more of a relief type of laugh, because just the idea of handling the sociopaths in government and getting them out of there, or at least detected, to me is just such a nice idea.
Well, I appreciate that, and I received an awful lot of comments back on that little YouTube that was out there on the internet.
And the second we did,
I sent the link out to several people, and I got an overwhelming response of people saying that this is an excellent idea. And the one complaint that did arise among some people was that there may have been a little bit too much levity in our initial presentation. I said, well, in George's defense, I said he didn't even know what the topic was until immediately prior to the taping. So to broach a topic like that on someone unknowingly can cause a little bit of startled mirth.
It was fun. I was really liking the idea, and that's where the laughter came from. It wasn't laughing at the idea.
No,
it was more of a, you know, like when you discover something after long wondering what's going on, and you know, type of thing.
Yeah.
That was more that type of laughter. And
it is a serious topic, though.
It is, and I see it coming up in other areas, and I had no idea of the concern about this or the talk about it, but there has been some other people at the national and level in particular talking about this particular issue of sociopathy in politics, and politicians that have no feeling at all for what the effect of their activities are. They just want to make sure that they get reelected and they get their money and they get maintain their position of power.
Well, let me read a little something for you here. This is from a book, The Sociopath Next Door by Martha Stewart, PhD, who's been working as a psychotherapist for about 30 years. And it's an interesting introduction into what sociopathy is, or psychopathy. Imagine, if you can, life without conscience, none at all. No sense of guilt, remorse, or shame regardless of what you might do. No limiting concern whatsoever for the welfare or well-being of others, whether they be friends, strangers, or even family members. No familiarity with the concept of responsibility for anything at all other than your observations of it in others who seem to accept that burden like gullible fools. Add to this fantasy the ability to conceal from other people that your psychological makeup is radically different from theirs. Since nearly everyone assumes that conscience is universal among human beings, hiding the fact that you are conscience-free is nearly effortless. You are never held back from any of your desires by guilt or shame, and seldom, if ever, confronted by others for your cold-bloodedness. Your bizarre view of reality is so far outside the experience of others that they can seldom even imagine your condition. You live your life with no internal restraints, and your condition is conveniently invisible to the rest of the world. You can do anything at all, and your strange advantage over others who are kept in line by their conscience will most likely remain undiscovered. How will you live your life? What will you do with your huge and secret advantage and the corresponding handicap of other people? Conscience.
That's a very interesting and very sobering description.
Yeah,
you know?
it takes the
I know it's here in the
laughter
studio.
out of it.
Yeah, I mean, things suddenly got quiet. You know, and there is a problem. One of the things that's been discussed, at least in the areas that I've watched, is that when there's this old saying, Lord Acton, I think it was, said that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And the problem is people get into politics and they kind of start developing this personality as they go along in the years that they stay in politics, because of the way people treat them and the things they find out they can get away with, that tends to almost start developing within the person.
Yeah, there is a belief that it can be created through social interaction. Not totally, but that it can certainly be exacerbated or revealed. And not all sociopaths or psychopaths are brilliant or are bloodthirsty or anything else of that nature. I mean, they're just like everyone else in regards to what their desires are and what their intellectual capabilities or what their talents might be.
Yeah, it's just that they
So-
can do it without any consideration about what the effect is on the other
Absolutely,
person.
absolutely.
That's the difference there. That's
And
right.
my concern is that this is not an admirable characteristic for somebody who's running for political office because of the impact that they would have on social policy and upon the general wealth and well-being, or health and well-being of the general population.
And what you had talked about before was actually testing people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And bring forth a proposition, referendum type of thing, where individuals running for office would do a test that wouldn't necessarily qualify them or keep them from running for office, but at least the public would know what the results of that
Be
test
aware
were.
of the fact that they have this condition. The most alarming part of the condition is that they can lie with no sense of remorse whatsoever.
Therefore, that's not going to show up on a lie detector either.
Right, psychopaths typically are pathological liars, and you can find a psychopath or a sociopath in just about any strata of society. I mean, it could be a school teacher, it could be a pastor,
Oh, yeah,
it could be the guy working next to you if you're like stocking shelves in a grocery mart.
My only observation is that these psychopathic people you're talking about tend to be very destructive in the environment. And the problem they have in surviving in the private sector is that the company they work for starts having trouble, goes out of business. Whereas in government, the reverse happens. When they become destructive in their area, what does the government do? It doesn't go out of business. It puts more resources in there, actually puts more people in there, and it tends to make that particular area grow in population and in expense.
Well, you don't,
And-
a sociopath or psychopath doesn't have to be destructive of the business. In fact, they could be an asset to the business because they would view other competitive businesses as an object of their destructive desires.
Yeah.
In fact, the population of psychopaths and sociopaths are most heavily concentrated. You know, I mean, they're in virtually all walks of life. But strangely enough, attorneys and company CEOs are the two professions where the highest concentration of sociopaths exists.
Well, and that was another thing that was brought up in some of the discussion I heard is that sometimes you have to have that distant concern in order to make difficult decisions.
It can be an advantage in a competitive environment, no question about it.
I just what I see of a situation like that where you're not looking at the broad-based effect of it, that it tends to be more destructive than constructive.
Yeah.
That's what I've seen. Well, listen,
Well-
we're just about out of time here.
Well, let me just give my telephone number where people can contact me
Sure.
if they're interested in this effort. It's area code 262-412-0094.
And we'll have that on the screen.
Okay, good.
So, all right, well, thank you very much for
Yes,
coming here.
it's good talking to you again. I look forward to seeing you again sometime.
All right, we're going to take a little break here, and then we're going to talk to John Homerson about a hot topic, Obamacare. Stay tuned.